Put your experience, list it like a regular experience, and then do like a paragraph after that where you have taken your accomplishments and just abbreviate them like in just, well, I'll show you an example here that'll make it a little bit easier. Here is a sample of an accomplishment. Achieved, that starts with a verb, right? Achieved 120% sales growth 6 months in a row for total increased revenue of $133,500. So I have quantified things. I've put numbers on it. This is exactly what I was able to do. And, here's the money that I brought in. If you can show people I did something that brought in this extra amount of money, that right there tells them, well, he's worth a lot, or she is worth a lot. And possibly they can do the same thing here for us. Here's another example. Developed processes to save an average of $12,100 per quarter without a negative impact. And I need to really work on my grammar spell checker thing because that should say without a negative impact. Experience. This is our next section. This is a history of your professional work experience in reverse chronological order. Each entry here in the experience section should include a title, the company name, and the years that you worked there. Now, what's good to do is to make each one of those different elements stand out by typing them a little bit differently. So, for example, in this sample, I put the company name in all caps, and then the location and years there in a different, in just regular text, and then the title of the position I bolded that, so that each one of those elements is distinct and somewhat different, and they stand out, and it's easy for them to read it that way. That's all this section needs to have, is the just the basic elements that we talked about here, the company title and years that you worked there. Education. This is, for the most part, going to be a very simple area for you to do, but there's one thing that I want you to pay particular attention to. Don't put things here that you don't actually have. A lot of people do that, and that is not only lying, but that's also asking for big trouble. Don't put things that you don't have. Don't put degrees there that you don't actually have. Now, you can omit things. You can leave things out if you think that they would be harmful. For example, let's say that you have now retired from being a college professor, okay? Or you have retired from being an electronics engineer, and you're making a pretty good pension, but you'd like to just do a little bit of work, and you want to get a job at a bookstore, and you just decided that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. It might be a good idea for you to leave any of those degrees off of your name, right? And even out of the education section, and possibly out of the experience section, just because for some jobs, and I'm not saying this is always the case, there could be exceptions, but for some jobs, you seeming overqualified could be a detriment to you. They might not ever call you simply because they think, well, overqualified and going to want too much money. So for some things, and you'll have to feel that out yourself. I can't give you a hard and fast rule of where that falls into play, but that's the kind of thing that you're looking for. If you seem overqualified and there could be a concern there on their part, then you might want to leave some of that stuff out. Schools, locations, degrees, dates of graduation, these are the kinds of things that we want to include there. If you had a high GPA, then you want to put that in there too. If it was just average, then don't put it. But if it was like a 3.7 or a 3.8 or something like that, then definitely you want to get that in there. Include any time in college, even if you didn't graduate. So if you went to college for a couple of years, never got your degree, started working and just got too busy. Maybe you started a family, whatever. Put the time in there that you did attend college, because that is a benefit. Affiliations, nothing personal, only professional affiliations. So you don't put, for example, I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. Who cares unless your job happens to be related to hunting, right? But for the most part, it can only do damage to you. There's a lot of personal stuff that people can get involved in that can cause friction with other people. You don't need that. Related to the position. So any affiliations that are, not only professional, but specifically related to that position, you want to make sure that you get those in there. So as an example, if maybe you're a photographer for a magazine or something, and you're applying somewhere else, and there's some kind of association of photographers, then definitely you want to get that in there. Training. This again, keep it professional. Mostly training that has to do with your career or the field that you're in. It shows that you're an active learner, and that's a really good plus, especially if you're kind of older, right? It shows that you can be tech savvy. You're not afraid to get into that kind of stuff. So show that you do go to training courses, that you successfully complete them. And again, make sure that it's only professional training, not stuff that you went through as a hobby. There's no point in putting on there that you're a black belt in karate if you're applying for a CEO position at some corporation. So training, though, is something, it's actually a pretty important thing. If there is anything that you can put on there that supports that you're willing to learn and that you're willing to apply yourself, that's definitely a plus for you. And that's it. I know a lot of these things that we've talked about are quite a bit different from the traditional, what they teach you in high school, what they teach you in college even, or vocational schools. But listen, it's a different world out there. It's a different work area, okay? And if you want to stand a chance at positioning yourself where you can get more interviews so that you can get yourself in front of people and say, look, hey, I can do the job. Let me demonstrate it to you. Then you will quit using those archaic and ancient methods that are going to get you no results except for getting your resume put in that nice little pretty filing cabinet that's right under their desk.